Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to the current Outside Views report on Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. A few weeks before elections in Russia, prominent observer Grigory Melkonyants was arrested in Moscow. A court in the capital on Friday ordered the co-chairman of the human rights organization Golos, which means voice in English, which campaigns for free elections, to be held in custody until October 17th. In the past, the Golos observers repeatedly disclosed massive violations of voting rights and manipulations, to the annoyance of the power apparatus. Elections are planned in many places in Russia for September 10th, including in Moscow, where Mayor Sergei Sobyanin is hoping to remain in office. The non-governmental organization has been branded a foreign agent by the Russian authorities since 2013 and is therefore subject to political persecution. The day before, there had also been raids on the apartments of the independent observers. The action is considered part of an increasing wave of authoritarian repression in Russia against those who think differently, which human rights activists have complained about. Melkonyants always emphasized that Golos wanted to continue to work to protect voters' votes. He's officially accused of working for an undesirable organization in Europe. And according to Russian media, Melkonyants said in court on Friday, locked in a glass box, that he was actually being accused of collaborating with Russia's Central Election Commission. That was considered a critical dig because, by law, the election officials themselves are responsible for organizing the vote in accordance with the law. Political scientist Abbas Galyamov said the election observers would be destroyed because the Kremlin wanted to prevent the violations from being documented in this way. This is already in preparation for the presidential elections in March 2024. In reality, there can be no talk of 90% approval for Putin. His real values are now 30, at most 40%, he said. In that sense, Golos is simply a knife to the throat for the Kremlin, not Gremlin. The activist defense attorney Mikhail Buryakov denied the allegations against his clients. Melkonyants or Golos did not work with any undesirable organization. Golos, the all-Russian movement to protect voter rights in Russia, has organized independent election observation since its inception in 2000. And meanwhile, Russia is making an offer to Ukrainians in need. Anyone who accepts a Russian passport gets an apartment or house in Crimea. The Russian authorities are apparently offering a deal to desperate Ukrainians from the Cherson region. If they accept the Russian passport, they are entitled to an apartment or house in the Russian or occupied Ukrainian territories or in Russia itself. As the Ukrainian newspaper Kiev Post now reports, former residents of the Cherson region are probably using the program and moving especially on the Crimean Peninsula, which has been annexed by Russia in 2014. The program has therefore been in existence since October 22. One person should be entitled to 33 square meters, 2 to 42 square meters. For families, then it is an additional 18 square meters per member. And Kiev Post reports that the program is mainly used by people who are in financial distress. But the region is unsafe. It lies directly on the Dnieper River. On the one hand, it represents the front. On the other hand, the dam there was presumably blown up by the Russians at the beginning of June, and devastating floods followed. And one of those families chose the house in Crimea, for example. According to the Kiev Post, this deal could be so interesting for Russia because it could increase the number of Russian citizens in Crimea. It also plays into the narrative that Ukrainians prefer to live under Russian rather than Ukrainian rule. But we have to be frank here. The people accepting this at the moment, what we hear, are the ones in financial needs. And you know what people do if they are desperate. And so we have to judge it under this consideration as well. And if you want to know more about the current developments, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.